Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Jim Hacking.
And I'm Tyson Mutrix. What's up, Jimbo?
I'm going to ring the bell.
What's that mean? What's that for?
Usually it means we signed up some cases, but I was just being silly. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, I think we should leave that intro in with you.
Yeah,
the countdown timer.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah.
We have a gong that Stephen Lefkoff sent me that we ring. We don't ring it every time, but we ring it when we remember to. It's like this little bitty desk gong, and it was from whenever he heard us. Whenever I was talking about how I wanted a gong on the podcast every time we settle a case, and so he sent me a gong. I was like, "What the hell is this thing?" But
it's funny because we really did used to ring the bell when a case would sign up, and then we went over to Slack and just used the bell icon. So now when we send a contract, there's a little contract icon or a little document icon. And when the contract is signed, then there's one bell, and then when they pay, it's two bells.
First Max Law Con, actually, I think the first two Max Law Cons. Remember, we had the bell emoji that we would do. Yeah,
that's how we knew someone had signed up. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were monitoring it every time a new person ding, we'd like another one, and sometimes be like, "Well, we did two bells." No, we had two people sign up. Like it was cool.
Now it's all automated, so Kelsey has it all rigged up.
Yeah. So no, I did notice. I said I complimented you. You're looking good. Like, and you said you've been working. You said no, I'm not. I've just been. I don't know what you said, but
you said I was working out. I said I was exercising.
That's working out.
Not lifting weights though.
Well, what have you been doing?
Just hitting the treadmill. Although I am this close, so when you go to the gym, do you have like a spot you go to? Like I have one treadmill that I consider mine, right? It's not really mine.
I have a trainer that takes me where I'm supposed to go, so I just follow them around.
So I have this one treadmill that I always use, and it's right by the yoga station. So I'm just trying to inch closer to taking a yoga class in there because literally I'm done on the treadmill at 5:45, and that's when class starts. So I could just ease right in there, but I'm sort of self-conscious.
Have you ever been to one, ever?
I've never been to a yoga class.
I can tell you the first couple times I ever went to one, I was extremely uncomfortable, but most people are very welcoming. And so it is because I'm sure they get a lot of weirdos that come in and like just, look at women or whatever. But
right.
For the most part, I'm sure people like realize that you're in there to actually learn. And if you get the right, I think yogi, they call them, then they'll be very patient. They'll be like, okay, now you put your leg here or whatever. And I'm guessing they probably have a really good teacher. So no, I will tell you, I feel way better after doing yoga than maybe any other exercise.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. It's such a good feeling.
Well, I was down. So, I went to the Dean Jackson's thing about a year ago, one of his masterminds, and sitting next to me was a guy named Nels, who's from Utah. His main business is like charter schools out west, but he wants to start a YouTube channel for yoga. And so I was down at this is one of the things we're going to talk about today, my trip to the Vid Summit, the YouTube conference. And I turn around and there's Nels, and he's down there. He had just signed up for Daryl Eve's channel Jumpstart, and he's going to start a YouTube channel about yoga. So I said, well, if you start the channel, then I'll go to a class. And so that was the deal we cut with each other.
Nice. Yeah. I'm curious why you've not hired a trainer yet.
Oh, I don't know.
I can tell you I could mess around with the gym, but I just didn't, I didn't grow up in the gym and like go to the gym all the time. So, I mean, we had baseball and we didn't have football at our school. So we had a gym, but it wasn't like, it was a big emphasis because we were baseball players and it was, I can just tell you like them teaching you like different techniques and like your arms this way and you need to move it that way. And you see how that's you get much more of a burn out of that. And you can just make so much more progress.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I don't know. I know that you've not, but I will tell you, dude, and I bet you'd get jacked quick. I bet you could when's the last time you actually lifted?
Years.
Dude, you would get jacked so quick because you would have all this gain at the very beginning, and a lot of times where the gain is like where you start to kind of hit this stall is later on. But a lot of people that just start out, you get a lot of muscle built right at the very beginning. And my concern, the reason why I did it is because you start to lose a ton of muscle after 50, and I want to build up as much as possible before I hit 50 so that I'm good to go. because
That's
you need
smart.
it in later years. But anyways, let's talk about videos. I'm sure people don't want to talk about going to the gym. Because I wanted to ask you about. It's funny you didn't really want to talk about it much, but I wanted to ask you about VidCon or Vid Summit. I think VidCon's better. They should call it VidCon.
You just like
Um,
cons. There is a VidCon. VidCon's a totally different thing. VidCon is a thing where all the big YouTubers come and meet with their fans. But Vid Summit is put on by Daryl Eves. Daryl Eves is sort of a YouTube doctor. He comes in and helps you fix your channel. I took his course 2 years ago, and it really helped me grow the channel. And most importantly, it's what sort of launched me into a lot more live video for my Immigration Answers show. It was great. It was in Dallas for 3 days. I went with our old friend Patrick from the old Infusionsoft user group, and it was great to see him and his partner. They're doing a golf channel. YouTube's cool that they actually sent YouTube higher ups to talk about content. And I know that people probably think that I talk about YouTube too much or that I've relied too much on YouTube, but obviously YouTube's been very, very good to me and to our firm. But the biggest takeaway, some of the surprising things were YouTube is now having more play time than Netflix. More people are watching YouTube than Netflix, which surprised me. And more people than ever, like 30% of people watching YouTube are doing it on their big screen TV at home and not on their phone or that number keeps growing. So more and more people are watching content for their house. And I know that true because there's people who will call me from their live show and you can sometimes see where they're watching or they'll show where they're watching and they're watching on their television, which just boggles my mind.
yeah, I mean, we talked about that on one of the morning shows. We're like, I outside on our deck, I have a TV and I watch YouTube all the time. And I think Amy thinks I'm crazy that I do it. So I don't. Not everybody is adopting it, but there definitely are the people like me that I do. I think it's. I watch it way more than probably any other. I watch it more than Netflix. I definitely do, and for a variety of reasons because I have the premium version so I can listen to it and stuff too. But which and you mentioned the thing about people watching YouTube more than Netflix because I'd interviewed Jeff Hampton last week and he talked a little bit about that too. We may get into that some of that too, but what was because I've got the list of people. So Mr. Beast, did he speak?
No, Mr. Beast did not speak. He bailed out at the last minute. So that was sort of a
Oh,
disappointment. People were I think, a little
oh,
disappointed, but there's just so many. The best presenter was this lady named Hope Scope, who I never heard of. And she's built a whole lifestyle channel and it's got a big following all through YouTube. I can't figure YouTube audiences out because I think, you know how you said you watch a lot more YouTube than Amy? I think some people are more inclined to YouTube. And I think that part of it is they are searching more for a show or information than people. I think like Netflix or Hulu, it's a little bit more passive. It's a little bit more other people are planning for you to um, consume their content as opposed to them going out and trying to find an answer to a question. I still think YouTube's greatest thing is either because something happened and you want to see a short clip of it or you want to get an answer to a question.
yeah. So I'm pulling up my search history inside of YouTube, and it is I'm searching for topics. Like
Yeah.
I'm searching for answers on things, which is so that I think you're right. Like if I were to pull up like I haven't pulled up TikTok in a long time. It just like for me, if I want to watch shorts, guess what? It's all in the YouTube app. I can watch shorts and it's for the most part the same content. Although the algorithm is definitely better with TikTok. But like I'm not gonna go I don't go to TikTok and search for things. I don't go to YouTube shorts and search for things. Unless I want like a really quick, succinct explanation of something, I will. But for the most part, I'm searching things that I want to know about. You want to know the you want to I this is funny actually. I almost called you about this yesterday. Do you want to know my most recent search what it was?
What is it?
It's the "Ooh brother, what's that" meme. Have you seen that?
What's that? No.
Because Hudson was saying it all the damn time. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this thing? And it
Yeah.
was like, so I didn't know if you knew who that person was. That's why I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, my kids were doing a whole meme about this the Costco guys or something. This dad and kid that go to Costco, they're big nerds. Anyway, here's a question for you.
Yes.
Are there any people whose content you consume regularly on YouTube as opposed to searching. Like there's a lady there, an African American lady, very, very impressive. She's making shows for YouTube. Like she has actors, she has scripts. I think she's putting out like 4 half-hour episodes of shows a week, and people are that's the stuff that people really like to watch. Like just seeing me talk about immigration, I don't think that really does it. But I mean, Ken used to talk about this stuff like actual content created for the platform, and that's what YouTube's just salivating about that because they just want people to get in the routine of using YouTube.
So that's predominantly what I actually, yeah, I actually predominantly do watch it for that. So it is, I'm glad you said that because I do go on there to search for things, but no, there are like shows. And so Joe Rogan's on there. So I do, depending on the topic, like if it's a topic that I'm interested in, I'll watch it. If not, I will just skip over it. And I'm relentless about, hitting the three dots and saying, don't show me, or I don't want to watch this. You can do it because I wanted to, I want
They're
to
trying to train the algorithm.
exactly. Um, Chris Williamson. I love watching Chris Williamson's videos. And what's cool about what he does, Rogan does some of this. I like Lex Friedman's podcast. I like PBD podcast. And then I've got some jujitsu ones that I watch. Rich Roll I like.
But it's mostly podcast people talking. It's not like content.
Yes, but what the cool thing about that I really like that they do for the most part, some of these they'll do rip-offs of other people, but for the people that I listed, they will take their big, long, sometimes 3-hour show, and they'll take the best stuff and they'll chop it up and they'll release that as a separate episode, which I think is really, really smart. So that way I'm going by topic and I can see I don't want to watch that long thing. I'm gonna actually watch or listen to this topic that I really like, and that's what I really like about it. And so that's probably why YouTube has exceeded Netflix because I can choose far more things that I want to watch as opposed to like if I'm watching a movie on Netflix, then like I'm in it for 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever the length of the movie is. But if I just want to watch a topic on something in YouTube, it's the commitment is fairly minimal.
Well, certainly they talked a lot about, my big problem with YouTube and creating content is I'm always much more fly by the seat of my pants as opposed to like scripting things out. But they want you to like script it out, have it planned, have it, set to go out on a certain day. And then you use your other social media channels to put out the little blurbs to try to drive the traffic back to the main long form piece for people, like you said, that want to actually see that.
That's changed substantially over the last decade. Think about it. Like that's not at all the way it used to be. It used to be get your phone out, you record, boom, it's on there. But
yeah,
you are 100% right. And you can just look at the trend of what is most popular. It's because of that. They're very polished videos. I mentioned that Jeff Hampton guy. I'm not going to pull up his videos, but his are, he says he doesn't put a whole lot of time into them, but there are graphics. They're on the screen. They're like 10, 15 minutes in length. And like even the video guy that we had for a while, he wanted me to shoot really long videos and then like make them like kind of cut them up, add graphics and all that. And it's just, that's a huge time commitment. That is something that's really, really hard to do because you're talking about planning for it. He scripts out the first part of his video, like each video he scripts like the first 30 to 60 seconds. He scripts it out. And then the rest of it is him it can be him riffing or whatever, but he'll have an outline. So you're having to prep for every single video. And then you're talking about the recording time. And then obviously you and I are not going to edit it, but it's still it's still a pretty big time commitment.
To me, the first ones where I really saw storytelling on YouTube were Gary Vaynerchuk back when he did that stuff. But it was just mostly just following him around that day and Casey Neistat, right? But, Mr. Beast wasn't there. Obviously, I've consumed a lot of Mr. Beast content. And then there was the back office people for this YouTube channel called Dude Perfect.
Yeah, I like Dude Perfect. Yeah.
That is some real. I went home and watched some of those. Those are really highly produced. I mean, I know they're making crazy money, but they're really you're right. You can't just start flipping your phone and talking. Not on YouTube. Other places you can, but you're going to eventually, and I probably have to eventually start doing more serious content.
So you had heard of Dude Perfect before, right?
I don't think so.
No. Oh, they do
Maybe
some wild things with their videos. Like it's actually they seem like some nice. nice kids too.
The
So
one I
there's Dude
the one I
Perfect.
watched, they went up in one of those huge military transport planes, and then they had a big target on the ground, and then they each had
Yeah.
darts, and they threw them out of the plane onto the target.
So I don't know if you can hear that, but they've got like that's them like they've been around for a long time. There
Yeah.
is another group. It's not Dude Perfect, but there's like these Australian guys, and they I can't remember the name of them. Have you heard of them before? Um,
Mm-mm.
I'm a search on YouTube Australian Dude Perfect and see if I can. So the thing about Dude Perfect, because Jackson, he used to like Dude Perfect quite a bit. He was like, "Do you think that's real?" That was the thing about Dude Perfect is a lot of the videos people would claim that they were fake. The other one is it's How Ridiculous is the other one.
Mm-mm.
And I mean they have 22.5 million subscribers, but How Ridiculous will go and they'll do this like here's an example of something they'll do. All right, so they'll put a car down at the bottom of this big dam, okay? And so the dam is hundreds of feet up in the air. And they're like, okay, you got to throw this football and hit the car, or
Yeah.
this watermelon and hit the car. And they do introduce like a little bit of element of science into it as well, because like sometimes you have to spin it to make sure it doesn't spin out too far. It is really interesting some of the stuff that they do, because you'd think that you just take this watermelon, throw it straight down, but it you could miss your target by like 500 feet if you just barely nudge it in the wrong direction. It's interesting stuff.
One of the things that really stood out to me at the conference was there was a guy who owns a convenience store, and he has over 100,000 followers. A little
Is this the
Indian American.
shoplifter one?
No, just I don't.
No.
Not only is a shoplifter guy, an Indian American guy. He just has a channel, and they just film about stuff that happens at the convenience store. There was a guy who has like twice that many followers. I think I told you this on Saturday, and his channel is about used oil, like used
Yeah.
motor oil or something. And then another guy was all used furniture, and he has a huge following. I mean, there are people who are interested in this stuff, and YouTube allows them all to sort of gather in one place. It's crazy.
That is a weird thing. Use motor oil. Like, I can't imagine people like who wants to watch things like that. That's
Yeah.
just crazy to me. Um, the like, I was going to ask you about. It makes a lot of sense why you didn't seem as hyped about Vid Summit after you said Mr. Beast didn't make it, because I'm
Yeah.
sure that colored your opinion in a very strong way in a negative
I was
fashion.
excited to hear him
Yeah.
talk. I did. So Daryl Eves he's Mr. Beast's best friend. He really helped him. Mr. Beast wrote the intro to Daryl's book, and they're very, very tight. As I was walking in, so they had a pre-party for the people who had ever taken Daryl's course, and there were probably 500 people there. And Daryl called me up on stage. I was very, very surprised to
Oh,
talk about the
nice.
channel, and he wanted me to tell that story about when those guys pulled over in New York and like wanted to take their picture and video with me. So yeah, he called me up on stage, and that was a real highlight for me, getting to see him. And I'm going to talk to him next week because I'm only like 13,000 followers away from 100,000, and that's a big deal with YouTube when it comes to monetization and all this other stuff. Part of me is wondering if, I've never had the ads turned on my channel because I've always thought, boy, I really want to have people just go to the channel and then maybe hire us. But I'm thinking maybe what we do is like after 30 days, then you add the channels to the revenue to it. Cause I think it'd be interesting to see if I could turn into a YouTube star. I'm actually thinking about this.
All right, so let me ask you. Jeff Hampton, when I asked him about this last week, he says he's got monetization on all of his videos, and the reason why is he said that just because you choose not to monetize doesn't mean that they can't run ads on your videos anyways. And it did get me thinking, because it does say monetization, it doesn't say ads, right? I think it says monetization.
Yeah.
So I wonder if are they
There is,
running
there is, there
ads?
is some kind of, well, I think, because I make $100 a month from YouTube. We put it back into YouTube ads, but I think that's from like the actual like Google ads on a YouTube thing. I still check my videos even in incognito, and our videos start right away. That's what I've always wanted. So
Okay.
I don't think that they're monetizing it without you.
Okay, that's my main question because that would be that'd be messed up if they did. But so I want
There
to
was
ask you about some of these. Yeah,
I just
before
want to
we
say
kind
one
of.
other thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You go ahead. The biggest thing for me was actually the primary sponsor for the whole conference was this company called Spotter Studio, and I think I told you the other day.
You did.
Right now they have a platform for, the nice thing is if you're collaborating with other people, you can actually, this would help with planning out your content and like when you're going to publish. And I told you that the AI will write your titles better. It wrote my titles better. It'll do, if you want to make thumbnails or if you want to see how the story would be well received as a thumbnail so that you can recreate the thumbnail yourself, right? And then the description to put into the YouTube video itself, it rewrites all that stuff for you. So that was pretty cool. But the cool thing about that company that sort of shocked me was they work with the really big creators, and they will buy the rights or lease the rights to your back catalog, and they'll give you money up front. Let's say if you wanted to build a new studio or buy a building for your YouTube company or whatever, they'll pay you up front, and then the revenue will go, instead of from YouTube to you, from YouTube to them. It just blew my mind that that was even a thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I do want to ask you about like some of your favorite presenters and maybe some takeaways if you had any. I'm
Yeah.
sure that Daryl's probably your favorite or something like that. But
Yeah.
who is like your number one favorite other than Daryl?
It was a lady, I don't remember her name, but the reason I liked it is because she's built a whole community, which I'm big on. She's started teaching courses and things. So what her video content is all about is getting federal contracts, like how to go through the process of getting a federal contract. So to me, it's a lot like us as lawyers. She's solving a problem. She's offering a service. She's helping people have a place to talk and gather, which I think is really important when we're talking about all these weird strains of things that people like on YouTube. And that was to me the most impressive one, just the way that she's taken her level of knowledge, which is sort of self-taught, and turned it into a whole business all surrounding federal contracting.
Yeah, I'm trying to find who you might be talking about because I am curious.
Oh, okay,
That's
fine.
one thing I would not expect you to say that. That's what's interesting about this is like, and I think that that's also what's cool about video is like you can learn from all these different industries and everything. So
Kizzy
um,
Parks, her name is Kizzy Parks, and she had been doing federal contracting for a while, and I think she was like the first day. Um, she was great.
nice. Okay. Was there other than from Kizzy Parks, was there anyone that uh, you saw, or was there anything that you learned that was like a big takeaway that you didn't really know about YouTube or that other, and I know you mentioned the thing about the sponsor. I'm talking about really anything that you've not mentioned yet. Was there anything that you were kind of surprised that you could do or any advice that you got that you were kind of surprised by or any tips that you got that you were a little surprised by?
Um, YouTube, the company is still really, really excited about YouTube Shorts, and just the idea of using YouTube Shorts more frequently to get people to come to your channel so as to get them to consume the long form content. That was good.
The so was this more and this I found I found Kizzy Sparks. It's like she was near the back, but yeah, that's trying to find her the actual name of the company. For her love for Funyuns. Um,
I'll just go. So I'll say that I generally liked the people that were much more practical. There were some people there, and I was certainly on the older side of people that were there. There were a lot of people who were just sort of getting into YouTube, and there were guys like walking around with cameras and filming everything, and like skateboarding and filming and all that. It was like a carnival of people doing all their own things all around. And certainly, you get a lot of value out of talking to different people at the happy hours and the parties and stuff. Um, I think that the one thing to keep in mind when it comes to YouTube is they want to do whatever is going to increase the length of time that people spend on the platform. So longer content, more regular content, feeding the algorithm on a regular basis. Those are just sort of the meat and potatoes of stuff. But really, I was going around talking to friends and talking to other people that I knew and just trying to pick up stuff as I went.
What do you think you might adjust after leaving? Is there anything different that you're gonna do with your videos now that you've been there?
Well, truth be told, um, there was a presentation on how, in order for YouTube to work, there has to be a mix of is there is there content that you want to create as a creator, and is there an audience for that content that you want to create? That if either of those two things are lacking or low, then the channel's going to fail, right? So one of the things I talked about, and I even went to a session on, was I've been doing the same kind of content over and over, and I'm feeling sort of burnt out, right? So how do you re-energize that stuff? For me, really, the way I re-energize it is just the live call-in show, because I don't have to create content. I don't have to come up with the idea of what to create content about. But where I'm lacking when I do that is I'm not looking at the things that have really been successful, figured out what's been successful, and then recreating that as it goes.
Yeah, I think that would be tough for me too. Just like planning out some of this content, like doing some of the live stuff is better. And for you especially, because you like to kind of think on your feet and you like to be a little impromptu on some things. The something that I've always struggled with quite a bit is like the community thing for people that have been injured. You know, like there's just something. It, I mean, the thing that ties them all together is that been injured, but like creating an actual community around that is tough. Like I've had a really tough time like wrapping my head around that. You've done a really good job of harnessing that with immigration. Like, why do you think that I'm struggling with that so much?
Well, I mean, I think by definition, people going through the immigration process have a little bit more to cheer about and be happy about. Like today, someone came on, they just gotten their oath ceremony, so now they're a U.S. citizen, they can go vote. So that's great. You know, when you're talking about, oh, I lost my leg, I mean, that's just hard to get people excited about.
Yeah, I try. Well, something I've thought about doing is changing it a little bit, where it's more about like health minded and you know, where you are like improving your body in general. So getting healthy, but working out like that sort of a feel, right? But I just don't know if that's something that people that are injured would navigate to, because
Yeah.
it's I mean, like they're they're going through it. You know, it sucks, and so that's what's it's kind of I've struggled with that. You are right. It is more like a like when people call us initially, they're really in bad shape for the most part. We're like they're in pain, they're on drugs, they're on medication or whatever, and so they're just they don't have their vehicle, so they're in really bad shape, and so they're not in the best of mind, and so that is something that has made it more difficult. So it is more of a negative thing as opposed to a positive thing, like getting your U.S. citizenship. Although getting money obviously is great at the end, but at least the beginning of the representation not so positive.
I'm looking over my notes and some of the things that stick out. Daryl says when it comes to video, you want to plan, execute, then analyze how it does and adjust based on that. I talked about Kizzy Sparks already. One of the things that she was big on was coming up with an internal lingo for your community so that they have their own language. And I was really excited about that because, like, we have certain phrases on the show. Actually, when I hit my 500th show, some of the fans got me a hoodie with all my favorite phrases on there. And like, there's lingo and shorthand that people use who really come to the show, and it helps build community. Talked about digital downloads, giving people some reason to contact you. That Hope Scope, she did a whole presentation. It was really good. It was her Eras tour modeled that. She had pictures of herself sort of with the different colors like Taylor Swift did. And then she talked about the growth of her channel and how even with 2,000 people, she was starting to make money. And her whole thing was like trying on clothes and comparing them and all that stuff. But the ideas and the creativity of how they come up with these ideas to like challenge things, and they're always looking for a hook. And I think that's the one thing I don't really do a good job of, is thinking what's the hook, because you can give people information, but if you want them to engage and to come back, you got to give them a reason to either reach out or to watch the next video or to be compelled by what it is that you're talking about.
Yeah, with that, well, I'll ask you one more thing about that because we had someone on last week that she she presented to the guild, and she was talking about don't ever. And it was about TikTok, right? And so she
Yeah.
was talking about editing the videos and everything, but she said don't ever. And the thing, one of the big mistakes that attorneys make. Her name's Gianni Avalos, by the way. Anybody, she's down in Texas, but at Single Mom Attorney. But she was talking about the big mistake attorneys make is they put at the end like give me a call at yada, put the phone number, or they put the website link. Like don't do that. And I wonder if they talked about that at all in the Vid Summit, or is that something that you're like it's all like everyone knows don't do that.
Yeah, no one talked about it. I definitely don't do it on short form videos. Video's too short to do that. I mean, every now and then, maybe every 30th video, I'll give them some kind of call to action to download some free PDF, but I would never like do my whole YouTube close with all the different ways to contact me. People can find you.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, we better wrap things up because we're over time and I'm late for a meeting. So
Me
we're
too.
gonna wrap things up. Before I do, I want to remind everyone to join us in the big face group. We would love to have you. Search Maximum Lawyer on Facebook and you'll be able to find us pretty easily. And if you want to join us in the guild, we would love to have you. maxlawguild.com. We are going to be in Vegas in November, so we'd love to have you there. And then Scottsdale in January, and then Honolulu in April. So it's going to be cool. Would love to have you, maxlawguild.com. And if you would, we would love for you to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. Helps us spread the love to attorneys all over the world. So we would love to have you give us a review. Jimmy, what is your hack of the week?
Mine's easy. If you're thinking about doing any YouTube, you're not going to find any better than Daryl Eves, and I would highly recommend connecting with him, and you can do it really easily. Try to find one of his YouTube, of course, 1 hour or 1.5 hour sessions where he talks about the process. They're really just in and of itself, those are really helpful. Or you can just get his book, The YouTube Formula, which I'm reading now for a second time.
I like it. I actually I've never followed Daryl Eves. I've never read anything about him. So when you were talking about him quite a bit, I was pretty excited. So my tip of the week is something that we've been kind of testing out. So we have our target list, Jimbo. These are the cases that each quarter we're trying to target to settle. But based on some of my conversations with Jason Selk, we have taken that list and then each week we have like this. I don't have a name for it yet. Maybe you can help me come up with a name. But we have like an ultra targeted list. Like these are the 5 cases we are going to target this week. So and I will tell you, it is extremely effective at like you have like everyone has a bunch of cases or whatever, and you're trying to work on all of them at the same time, and sometimes it's kind of like whack-a-mole where you only deal with the case because it pops up, so you're kind of whack-a-mole. But then with this, I've been very surprised by how effective it's been. Where these are the five cases, we knock those 5 cases out. Let's go to the next 5 cases. Let's knock these 5 cases out. So I recommend people do it. It's been really cool. We are a few weeks in, so I don't have a lot of data on it, but I can tell you we've out of so now we're 5 a week. We're probably 13, 14 cases settled out of the 15. It's
That's
pretty
all.
good. Yeah, it's pretty damn good. So it's been pretty effective. So definitely recommend it. All right, Jimbo. Good to see you. As always, I'm looking forward to chatting with you more on Saturday.
All right, brother. Well, take care. See you, bud.
You too, man. See you, buddy.